maybe this will be a decent video. So right now you see I've kind of gone all over the place. And I said that I was going to get some video of doing some border work. But I figured I'd try to get a little bit better video. Filling in everything. Alright, I know that's going to be boring to watch that. So, now on this side, we have to make this border right here, this little angle border. And then continue filling in up here and down this side. So this side, this angle is going to be hard to match up with this side. And the other video I made, this was a little splotchy. I've squared that up a lot and it's picked up a lot of dirt from my bench and stuff. I'm going to clean all this out with a scrub brush later on when I get done. But you can see I've got this side done. I did underneath. Still have to do the back strap. Get my borders good and right all around the bottom. But it's coming along slowly. I wish I knew how many hours I had in it at this point, but I have no idea. It's a pretty good bit of time. And I'd love to know how people do this on a daily basis. So anyway, this side's the easiest one to know how to get your angle on, because you just go off of this little notch right here that's naturally in the back strap of the gun and match it up right here with your side release bevel that kind of guards your slide release. The toughest part about doing this side over here is bringing this line perfectly all the way across. So for this process, shove this mag out. You can see I got it taped up with painter's tape. And some of this stuff won't be in the camera, but I'll try to get it as easy as you can. It is not easy to get a good measurement on these guns because of how blunt the edges are on everything. So it's really kind of an eyeball thing by taking painter's tape, stretching it from this side over to this side, and making marks where you need to go from. So just a little Irwin quick vise. Not gonna clamp the frame too hard. So right now, you kind of see the box of the frame. here and here. I'm trying to make this a 90 degree as much as I possibly can, eyeballing it. I have flushed the tape on this side, just barely over the angle of that release right there, that release bevel. And I'll come over to this side, over here, and get a mark at the top. So as you can see, my tape is not perfect right here. So what I'll do is I'll make a mark up here, and I'll try to line it up, eyeball it. It's probably gonna go somewhere about right there. But we'll go ahead and get a mark with our pencil. Remove the tape. That mark's there. Kind of eyeball it again. It's close. I really won't know if I'm fully satisfied with it until I get my mark down here made across, and I'll do a lot of comparison, flipping it back and forth, trying to figure out if I like it or not. And again, right here, I'm trying to get as much of a 90 degree angle as I can with the top of the frame here. You kind of use the letters that are made in Australia. I'm kind of lining it up with the T right now. This is about as close to 90 degrees as I can seem to get it. I'll put a little mark right here. And then down this side, I will line up the very tip of this right here to where I've made my mark. Start your tape right here on your mark, and then you can move this end back and forth as you need it to go. Now this stuff isn't going to stick to your gun very good, so use your fingers to keep it in place. And just trace along the edge of it very, very lightly, because you'll move your tape. And amazingly, that seems to have matched up pretty damn good. I don't know how. You can see I kind of barely went above right here just a little bit, so we'll keep that in mind when we stipple this side. Alright, steady hands right here on this one. And just take your time. You'll probably have to move the gun around a couple different directions and get the perfect part to as steady as you can. I'll insert the mag back in with a little bit of weight. It doesn't have to be all the way in, so you can still get a grip on it and pull it out. And I don't have the most steady hands in the world, so if you don't let that discourage you. It's all about finding your steady point. Now, I know I'm mimicking some of agency's work here because I really like their guns, but can't everybody afford to pay that much damn money to have this done to a gun? If you can, by all means do it, because this process is aggravating, but I enjoy doing it. So I enjoy doing my own work, but I don't make any money off of this. So it's not like agency has anything to be worried about. I don't know if you can see or not, but I stayed just barely below my line here, and it's not a crisp, clean, sharp stipple to the tip right here. So I'm going to come in and try to fill this line in. I may see how that turns out, because it is a straight line. I may try to see how that goes. I originally was going to make one of these videos to show a friend of mine how to do it, because he was asking me, but the video I made was too long to send to him in a text message, so I figured it'd just be easier to upload it to YouTube and let him check it out. And then I kind of got to figuring, well, if it can help a couple other people, I'm sure there's somebody else like me out there that's trying to do this on their own. And I have done some horrible stipple jobs. I know this certainly isn't the agency quality right here, but I started out doing some horrible stuff. If I can find some pictures of some guns I did before, you'll really laugh. And once I figured out how to do it, I took those guns that I had done the horrible Frankenstein stipple jobs on, and you see how this tip is bent right here. I just laid on top of the gun and I melted everything back flush. It certainly didn't look good when I did it, and then stippled over the top of it, and they look great. I have a 17 that I did that to, and it didn't turn out as good as this gun is going to, but from what it looked like to what it looks like now, it's far better. And I used to not do undercuts or anything, and all this stuff is simple if you have the time to do it, and it's certainly a big cost savings. Not to knock Salient or the agency guys or anyone else that does stipple work, because they have some kind of way of doing it that is much better than the way I'm doing it. And I'm really interested to know how, not so I can mimic their work and start doing it, but it's just interesting to me because there is no way, I wouldn't think that there's somebody sitting on a bench taking as much time to do it as I am. And I know if you do stuff every day, you get really good at it, but if you did it in half the time that I've done mine, that is very time-consuming work. And for them to be mass producing them the way that they are, it's really unbelievable. At this point, I've kind of gotten away from my border, so we can kind of open it up and start going fast with it again and start making some progress. I'm really surprised that I got the border laid out that quick, because it normally doesn't happen that fast. But this is just a process that you're going to have to take your time with. And that time that you take will certainly pay off in the end. Don't get discouraged. I do this after work, a couple hours a night, and it'll really start paying off for you. I know this is definitely the boring part of a stipple video, but I figured I'd show y'all kind of how long it takes to fill in a small little spot. And you'll go along through here and the lighting may not be just right and it looks like you've got everything filled in, but even in low light you can pick up the gun and move it around, and you'll start to see the thin spots, and you just go back over that and fill them in. There's a couple right there, no big deal at all. We'll touch those up right now. I've got an M&P that I did, and I will tell you, if you're doing M&Ps, those guns turn out looking really nice. The polymer is a little bit different on it. I think the pattern of the polymer, once you've stippled it, turns out a lot better than a Glock does. And if you have an M&P, go online and find a pattern you like, study it really hard. That's all I've ever done. I've never even seen an agency gun in person. I'd like to see one and hold it and really see how clean their borders are and everything, because you can see them in the pictures. They look amazing. And I'm sure there's some things I could learn by looking at one of their guns. That's all filled in. And that is a little video on laying out one of the small of many borders that you'll do in doing one of these guns. Give your eyes a break while doing this too, because I mean, you will get your eyes kind of crossed up and stuff will start not looking right. And I said in last night's video using the Brillo pad, I did used to use that. I don't know why I told y'all that. It's much better to get a wire brush like this, a little small one. Just clean that tip off with. I really touch them up good before I do a border. Just so you get a nice clean layout. And again, I just want to make clear, I'm not making any money off of this. I know agency has a patent on their accelerator cut. So I don't need anybody coming after me for money thinking that I'm running some kind of gun shop down here in my shed behind my house. I couldn't imagine doing this every day for a living anyway. But I think that's about it. I probably have an idea how to go about doing everything then. As far as laying this border out right here, if you kind of find the angle of the gun, I'll take my pencil, hold it tight in my finger, and just kind of trace it around. Bring it all the way back down to the mag release. Looking at it a few times, erasing it a few times, making sure it's what I want. Obviously these lines down here don't require any pencil work. You can kind of more or less just eyeball those, and they're a little jagged. I'll go back and touch those up later. Down here on the bottom, you'll want to use this factory edge right here and just kind of get a pencil line around that, because it's kind of hard to see in the light. That way, you know, you got something good and clean to follow. And then as far as underneath the gun, it's just kind of laying a border out, eyeballing it. I did the same thing with the tape across here. You got a straight line for this. This right here I just eyeballed with the soldering gun, which isn't actually a soldering gun, it's a wood burning kit. And some things I did with my wood burning kit, this right here was actually straight when you get the kit. And in my last video I said how I sharpened it down and made a sharper tip. I turned the gun on and got it to, you know, maximum heat, 950, 925 degrees, I can't remember exactly what it is, and put it in my vise and just slowly bent it over. Took it out and let it cool, and then that way I could hold it in my hand, and I just rolled it on that little belt sander knife sharpener I've got, and sharpened this tip up, and that worked great. This tip is some kind of soft metal, I think it's copper or something like that. So it sharpens quick. You don't have to use a real coarse belt on that knife sharpener or whatever you decide to sharpen it with. A coarse stone on a bench grinder certainly would not be the thing to use. You just kind of have to get creative of how you want to go do that. I just happen to have that knife sharpener laying around, and I kind of quickly discovered that's about the only thing it's good for is sharpening tools. Certainly you don't want to put your bench made on it and start trying to get a nice edge on it. I'd also suggest, your hands tend to get a little more shaky after doing your fill-ins like this. So kind of take a break when you get ready to lay out a border. Let your hands steady up. Because this constant kind of jerky motion right here won't allow it to turn out very well. And that's about all I can think of tip wise. I'll go ahead and end the video, and I'll try to do another one after the gun is done and kind of show y'all what the end product is. Hopefully this will help some of y'all some, and maybe y'all have even better results than I did, be better at it. Good luck to you.